everybody, it's time to LOL. Listen out loud, that is. It's time for Anime Jam Session with DJ Ranma S, Mako-chan, and Ari Rockefeller.
Hey everybody, welcome to Anime Jam Session, episode number 668. We are that podcast talks about anime, games, conventions, the fandom, geek stuff, and everything in between. I'm DJ Ranma S.
And I'm Barry Mallon.
Ari is off tonight because he's working mid-shift, and Mako-chan is out because, in all her greatest glory, she decided to get a tooth pulled. On our schedule. How dare you? Well, I will beat her with a box of wet noodles later. Anywho, Barry, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Honestly, I feel like I'm not ready for Zenkai-Con, but at the same time, I kind of sort of am.
Yeah. Zenkai-Con kind of falls in that sweet spot of like just after the clusterfuck that is Katsucon and MagFest, but also right before a lot of the summer conventions kick off.
See,
so the weather's like great.
It's not even.
It's still right in the middle.
Yes, that. It also is like I feel like I just need a couple more weeks to prep stuff together because I have a lot on my plate, but a lot of it's been eliminated because I realized this year we're not going to as many conventions this year, which gives me a better time to organize and get stuff published and stuff like that. Like I still got photo shoots going back like 2 years I need to upload. I'm just like, ugh, I really need to get around to doing that. But one of the shoots I am redoing at Zenkai because I'm like, thank God, because I realized that was a rush job, so. But, enough about that. We are live tonight, week of March 11th, 2025, right here on Twitch TV. You'll find us here live Tuesdays from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You'll always find us at Twitch TV/Anime Jam Session. We're also proud to be part of the Voice of Geeks Network at vognetwork.com. And they are also on Twitch. You can find them at Twitch TV/VogNetwork. And they come hang out with us in the Discord, vognetwork.com/Discord. Every show that's part of Voice of Geeks Network has their own channel, so come through and hang out and have a very good time. So now that we got the bulk of that out of the way, let's kind of kick things off with how was your week? How was your day? Barry, I know you have a lot to fill us in on.
Honestly, I feel like we say that every time I come on here, but I know
True.
It's been a little while. I'm still doing the thing. I have now become sort of a freelance, quote unquote, bartender in VR chat in some respects. And so it's been a lot of fun just socializing and doing a lot of that kind of thing, which has been interesting, meeting a lot of interesting people, interesting characters, making a lot of new friends. And I've gotten more into VR, which has been a lot of fun. So for me, honestly, a lot of it is just working, sewing, and doing VR stuff. And then also, just kind of keeping busy with that kind of thing. I don't have any real big events that I've been to or anything recently. So it's actually been pretty quiet here in the Dreaming.
All right, that's good. That's good. Well, as for me, work as per usual, and starting to get things together. Like I said, I got my heavy duty suitcase for conventions and for going to Japan in about, I'm going to Japan in about 8 weeks, give or take. Oddly enough, I kind of know I'm kind of mentally more prepared for that because I'm not doing cosplay per se. Because me and CC Gray, which we're what's the word I'm looking for? We're cosplay bounding at Universal Studios Japan as we're doing Daisy and Luigi. So.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and I think it came up in discussion about. Don't mind that sound effect if you heard. That's the work phone that's saying whatever. But
You're fine.
Yeah, I think they were talking about going in full costume and stuff like that. Because I want to go to Universal Studios Japan as Luigi, but I don't mind just walking around in a gray shirt, in a green shirt and a hat, and his hat. That I don't mind doing. I'm okay with that, So. I don't want to get confused with anybody else or he must work here. No, I don't work here, but believe you me. If I do, I must be working the Sicilian Universal Studios. Those of you who are playing the at-home version know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. So that's basically been it. Just kind of getting into the gears of of season 25. So So enough about that. Um, we have some housekeeping notes tonight, and as I look at the news, there's something I forgot to put in there, but I'll probably drop it in later. But want to let you all know that episodes of Anime Jam Session are available on demand on our YouTube page. Episodes do go up Thursdays at 12 noon. So definitely check those out. If they're not up by then, that means I accidentally forgot, and they'll be up before the end of the night, hopefully. Let's see what else do we have here. Like I said, our convention season's kicking off. ZankaiCon 2025, March 21st to the 23rd. That is next weekend. And now what I'm trying to see that they're saying that they start on the 20th. Like a lot of other cons are saying they start on the Thursday because there are panel rooms open, and some conventions like, well, we have panel rooms going and we have the dealers hall. And I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that. Then again, people start cosplaying on day zero just to get in a couple of good photo shoots. So, anywho, enough about that. So, come through ZankaiCon 2025, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, at the Lancaster County Convention Center, and come by and check out my panel, Twitch Streaming 101, Friday at 11:30 a.m. Not the best time slot, but it is what it is. I do know that this weekend I do have to go over my presentation, make sure it is set up the way it should be. Because it's been, I think, a couple of years since I've done this panel, and I know some of the equipment and stuff that I use or I recommend has changed over a while. And I will say this: one thing I've learned about doing this, you don't skimp out. Unless you can really find a generic version of whatever it is at a low cost. Because let's be real, a lot of the stuff that you see that streamers use, like microphones and mixers and USB audio devices, a lot of those some of them may have like a popular name on it, but if you go digging around, you'll end up finding a pure knockoff. Not even a knockoff. You'll find the OEM with a knockoff name, and it still work one and the same. So and that is something I will definitely bring up. So, anyhow, let's see what's going on here. Bonds double underscore 006 says that people he knows went to BlurredCon, and yeah, I went to that. I know people who went to that too, and every year somebody always asks me if I go, and I'm just like, no, there is nothing there that convention can offer me. And I'll say this, and I don't care whose feelings I hurt. If you are a minority cosplayer and you can't go to a convention in cosplay and create your own space, then you are the problem. All you got to do is put on the cosplay, walk in, you've made your space. Somebody asks to take your picture. There's a point. You get a hug from somebody who says, "You cosplay my favorite cat." There's your points. It ain't hard to do. But I get why we have those specific safe space conventions. I get it. It's just not for me. I mean, really, if I really wanted it, I'd go visit my family more often during the summertime for barbecues. Anyhow, I think I've done enough with the cheap shots, so
You're good. You're good. No, I mean I've made some choices to not attend certain events too, just because of the cultures behind them and the attitudes of certain organizers. Unfortunately, has quite soured.
Oh no, trust me, I get that.
Yeah.
And don't forget, and also to help, it's the entitlement of the cosplayers.
I mean, I would say I don't think it's so much the entitlement. I think it's for me because obviously a lot of the organizers like they expect cosplayers to come and cosplayers expect a certain level of support and that kind of thing because obviously when it comes to making a costume and stuff like that, I do believe yes, there are certain people, whether it be cosplayers, attendees, staff members, organizers, whoever it is in the convention circuit that can be entitled. I don't think it's one particular class or one particular collection or subset of people. I think it's from every area. It just depends on the year. Like, I mean, because like this year, like Katsugon had water problems and even had a gray water pipe break over artists. But if one of the artists complained, like there's going to be some people that are like, oh well, you got to at least go to this convention, you're entitled. But they still had gray water poured on them. So like someone's entitled is someone else's unfortunate soul. It's hard to look at it from the outside. But for me, with this particular set of events during this season, a lot of it is just that I've had personal experiences in these areas that have made me not want to return. And that is what I will go off of. Personal,
I get no, and I totally get that. I totally get that. Again, with conventions, cultures have changed left and right, and some it's been gradual, and others it's been like, what the fuck, So, anywho, let's get back into the whole housekeep. We did housekeeping. Let's move along to Geek Roundtable. Yes, Geek Roundtable. This is the part of the show where we talk more about the geekier aspects of our life, what geek stuff we've been up to. So, Barry, what cool geek stuff have you been up to?
Well, I have definitely been pursuing a lot of the VR stuff and looking into that kind of thing and playing around with the different games that entail that, be like VR Chat or Resonite or some of the games that have VR capabilities. And it's just interesting to see that kind of platform and how it has grown since 2017, which is about when it started. I found a lot of new friends and enjoyed the different aspects of it because I think personally, it is a direction that I am going to go in a lot of my technology journey. I ended up getting a headset in the end of January, early February, I believe. And I've been able to actually have like hands in VR, which is kind of cool.
That's good.
And so since then, I've been doing a lot of what they do is like there are like basically clubs / communities that take over instances that end up being like little drinking holes, like little gathering, little dive bars type deals where people just come and hang out and chill.
See,
the way it's been a lot of fun for me.
See, the way you're describing
as a social gamer.
See, the way you're describing it reminds me of my when I went to Japan and how when you watch anime or you watch Japanese TV shows, it's like you go into like the mall or the building and it's like the bar is up on the 6th floor. And it's like, this looks like an office building, but you open a door, there is a bar right there. Like when I went to Shangri-La.
No, and in Japan, like they will start up a little food stall, a little bar, a little something anywhere. They will find the smallest corner closet of a back alleyway, and they will make up a bar that is actually raking in money. Like it doesn't even matter. In Japan, they just know how to optimize that shit.
Know. I just
it's like just had to do it for so many years.
It's like when I went to Shangri-La, the Fluffy Maid Cafe. It's up on the 2nd floor, and I see this. I open the door. I was like, oh, okay, And
yeah.
And the thing is, something like that really couldn't fly here in the U.S. And it's not, and it's because of what we're used to, what we notice, what we see. It's the only way something like that could really work in the U.S. Like if I owned like a 10-story building. And like the first floor is like the first 2 floors are offices. The 3rd floor, like they're all offices, but like maybe on the 5th floor, it's not really. It looks like an office, but it's food restaurants. You go in one door and there's that. The 6th floor is this and that. Something like that could work, where at least there are people coming in. Like one of the parties that I go to. In the building, the party is on the 6th and 7th floors, but they own a bar on the 2nd floor, and there is a sign that tells you how to get, like, you go right up the stairs to the left, If there are other, that is sort of like a vertical strip mall, A vertical strip mall. So. But, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
No, you're good. As far as like how they build out of different places and optimize it. I mean, honestly, a lot of it too is that like in Japan, like it helps to know the language because a lot of times it's like when you go into a city and the town has like basements and stuff like that where like little hole in the wall places are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially in thrifting area, like areas if you like to go thrifting or anything like that, especially in Harajuku or places of the fashion substyles and stuff. Like a lot of the time that you go to those places, it's going to be holes in the wall. It's going to be these
Mm-hmm.
little like mom and pop shops that are just out of a back alleyway, you know. And I think it's kind of cool that that culture still exists because I feel like it used to exist a lot more in the States, but you only find it in certain areas
Mm-hmm.
now and a little less in the cityscapes and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're really looking or you know the mom and pop shop people.
Yeah. Okay. So for my geek roundtable, gaming wise, I'm still playing Yakuza 0. I've been playing this game since January, off and on here and there. It's for me to get kind of into the mindset of going back to Japan. And
Mm.
just remember, so it is Yakuza games are based on real life locations. Like Sotenbori is actually Dotenbori in Osaka, and Kabukicho is Kabukicho in I think
Mm-hmm.
Shibuya. I think
Yeah.
yeah, and Don Quixote or Donkey. That's an actual place, and when you walk in,
Yeah.
you will walk out humming the theme song. Okay, so
Yeah, you will, because it'll play in your head. It'll play in
yes.
your head. They know how to program you. They know how to program humans.
Have you seen the music video for Miracle Shopping?
No, I haven't seen it. Oh God. Okay, you'll have to DM that to me.
Yeah, I
Then.
will DM it to you because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
remember every in Japan when the artist puts out a song, there's always a video to it, and the jingle to Don Quixote has a music video. So, and I know they have a couple of locations in California. I would love it if they open up one in New York City. And if
That
they,
would be nice if they brought it over to the States.
they
Honestly,
did,
they'd only open it in New York and California.
yeah.
Like they're not going to open it up anywhere else.
Honestly, I think I know where they could put it
Mm-hmm.
in Brooklyn. Now, follow my logic here. For those of you who
Mm-hmm.
live here in New York City, know exactly what I'm talking about. But those of you who don't, and you're like, huh? Okay. I believe the area of Brooklyn is called Park Slope. There is a little section in Park Slope that's about, I say, 6 city blocks, give or take, kind of interconnected together, called Industry City. That is where it's. You go there, you can get food. There's a couple of nice bakeries, an actual patisserie. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Now, inside Industry City is a little subset called Japan Village. There is a Sunrise Mart where you can buy Japanese goods. There are Japanese bakeries. There's a couple of izakayas there that you can go to. There is an outdoor garden bar there, which I have gone to with a couple of friends and I've had a great time at. There is a book off there too. There's also a Daiso. And you know what and we talked about this on the podcast a few weeks ago. They just opened up Bandai Namco opened up their another cross store. They opened up their first cross store in Japan Village. And I saw a video of this earlier this week because I said on the show, I think I've been to one in Ikebukuro, but I couldn't remember. But when I saw the video and they called it, I was like, yes, this is it. And I've been to it, and it's laid out pretty cool where all this cool stuff. I just wish when I had gone to Japan, I bought some Bebop merchandise because they had like the Bebop stuff on display, which was kind of cool. So there was that. And I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. Now, I would say, Don Quixote is a 4-story retail store. It's basically Walmart meets Macy's. And the Macy's aspect happens on the 4th floor where all the expensive stuff is, which is actually cheaper to buy in Japan than it is in the US, okay? So, I would say there is room. They could probably there's probably room they could put a Don Quixote or or as they called outside the U.S. a donkey there. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I like about Don Quixote is, let's say you do go to Japan and you promise to bring back some swag and tchotchkes and stuff for friends, and you don't get an opportunity like to go to certain places for merch. You could actually go into Don Quixote and get all of your souvenirs there, and everything there is 100% legit. I mean, and also, let's say you bring your Switch with you and you want to pick up a couple of games, but you don't have time to hit up like the Nintendo stores. You can go into Don Quixote and buy a couple of Nintendo games. You can buy controllers there. You can buy a PlayStation there. I remember walking in, picking up a set of headphones because you see, for those of you who are watching, you see these big old cans. I have another set behind me that I travel with, but when I'm laying down, it's so bulky I really can't sleep with them or watch stuff on my tablet. So I bought a cheap pair of in-ear headphones for like 500 yen that are a lot better than the stuff you get at the dollar store. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're in my book bag, you know, they're in my tech sack, you know. I would like to see that. That would be hella cool if they put a Don Quixote in Brooklyn. That would be so awesome. Prices would be a little more expensive, but you know, it is what it is. All right. So I didn't put it on the rundown. Actually, I should go in and put this on the rundown because I know the first story that's coming up, both me and Barry, we're gonna go at it over it. I'm just like, what the F, dude? And I'm gonna call this segment Some Cosplayers. Now, I call it Some Cosplayers because I don't want to say something like cosplayers are stupid, cosplayers are dumb, or something like that. I don't want to call it that because, number one, everybody that's been a part of this show, hosts, guest, whatever, we've all done some real stupid shit in costume at conventions and stuff like that. To the minuscule to what the fuck, maybe. But the fact of the matter, we've done some dumb shit. But sometimes when you look at what has happened, you just can't, well, it wasn't really that stupid. It was just, you know. So there we go, some cosplayers. Now, the cosplayer in question has most likely banned me from her Facebook page, and that's quite all right. Because I said something that rattled her, and she didn't want to like own up to it. So so let me pull this up. I'm not going to share the image because I don't want to give this cosplayer any more popularity. Plus, these emails in the screenshot shows her real name, and I don't want to do that either. So this cosplayer lives down in the bayou. Is driving up to New York, to Niagara Falls, for a con. Because she is a big fan of the Trailer Park Boys. Can't say I don't blame her. But between you and me, I think Letterkenny is a little bit funnier. But anywho. So, what she wants to do is volunteer at the con. And then also go to the Trailer Park Boys event. It didn't go her way, and she got pretty much butthurt over that. And I read this, and I said, I don't see what the issue is. And she said that you need to read the full story in the comments. I'm like, I did. Again, I don't see what the problem is. You are volunteering your time. You're not going to go in and be like, well, I want to do these hours and these hours and these hours so I can go do X, Y, and Z. Not every con can give you that liberty. Also, I've discovered not every convention knows how many extra hands they're going to need until sort of the weekend of the con itself.
Yep. And even then, it always changes. It's always fluctuating.
Yep.
There's always more hands needed on deck. There's always more people needed. So, yep.
And just because you volunteer, you're volunteering your time. You're not getting anything in return. Even if you were like, some cons don't do volunteer, they have what's called gopher ops, which is basically volunteers. You go for this, you go for that. You go in, you fetch stuff for 4 hours, done, and that's it. And you go about the rest of your way. Now,
Yeah.
some conventions are like if you volunteer X amount of time, you can get a stipend, or you'll get X amount of dollars back, or if you worked X amount of hours, your badge is free, this or that. Some conventions can do that, some cannot. Even cons that have been going around for years. Somebody in the comments talked about how they had no right to do that because cons make money hand over fist. They're rich. I'm just like, you stupid.
You are very misinformed. You are
Yes.
so misinformed.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
It is so misinformed to be like that. Honestly, it's like when, people who are very entitled in handling the way that they deal with retail workers, right? Like the people that come up and are just really rude to you as you're working in retail. You need to work at least one year. Like before you can comment anything, before you can say anything, you need to at least work in 1 year in retail.
Yep.
And or in volunteering for a convention before you can say anything about, oh, they must make so much money. It's like, no, honey, they really don't.
And even if
they barely make it even for a lot of them.
Even if some
they go into debt, actually.
And even if some cons do make money hand over fist, 85% of that money gets paid out. I mean,
easily.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. ABC Anime Con, their profits, we'll say, was $75,000 for the year. After they paid bills and everything, the revenue, $15,000. If that, I'm being nice. You know what that $15,000 does? That money goes
back in.
Yeah, it goes back into the coffers to start planning for next year, because the $60,000 that they paid out were any other remaining bills that were paid, because as you are paying for your badge, your artist alley fees, your dealer's hall fees and stuff like that, that money is rotating. The con could collect $6,000 in a month from all of that, and then the convention center is like, we need our second payment of $5,000. Well, here you go. Cia DeBerry said it best. People throw out generalizations too broadly and don't understand what they're saying a lot of the time. Yes. And I actually told this person, what you need to do is actually staff a con for a weekend and get some insiders, stuff like that. I'm just saying, much as I am not the biggest fan of cons having cosplay guests sometimes, but depending on who the cosplay guests are, puts butts in seats. Cosplay guests,
it does.
They don't take as much money as, say, a voice actor or a singer or a band. It helps, That's why some conventions, they may have one voice actor and 5 cosplay guests. Or why is it always the same? Because the financials that comes in. If you want it, and I look at it this way. If I'm going to a con and there are events that I want to do, and I say I also want to volunteer, if they're not saying anything where I can volunteer and still do my events, I'm not going to volunteer. I'm not going to jeopardize that chance. I mean, you're driving maybe like 12 plus hours for a convention, and then you're going to risk volunteering in the chance of seeing Trailer Park Boys? No. That would not be me. Even when I do panels at conventions, I run the risk of, I can't cover this or that. I have to have a staffer, one of my staffers, cover that for me. Or what if it's just me? I'm just like, well, shit. If I'm lucky, they might be able to move my panel to another time. If not, I'm going to have to do that panel and be like, it is what it is. And I see a lot of this in the newer generation coming in. I mean, cosplayers, please, don't get mad at the system. This is how it is. Learn to work within it and do your thing. If you want to go, if you want to volunteer at a con, you should volunteer. Learn the insides of it. Get a better idea, a better appreciation. But if you're going to volunteer your time at a con and there are events and concerts that you want to go to and see, you're going to need to prioritize that over volunteering. If the panel or the concert's Friday night, go Friday night. Volunteer on a Saturday. Do you? Or instead of volunteering, you know what? Do a panel about something. At least that way it's kind of more on your time. At least with panels, you have the options of saying which times you can do because of whatever reason. Now, that's it. That's all you have to say about that. Now, as we move along, we are going to talk about tonight's stories. And the first one I saw pop up on my feed last night, and I had to grab it. I am like, I cannot believe the audacity of this person. I cannot believe it.
I can't believe you've done this. Like
exactly. Can't believe it. So, anywho, I'm going to drop the breaking news sound effect in here because this did come in pretty quickly. So, anywho, I'll kick things off and me and Barry will go back and forth. So, it says here that Gareb Shamus, founder of Wizard Magazine, founder of Wizard World Conventions, which are now run by a different company, claims that they invented cosplay. Gareb Shamus, co-founder of Wizard Magazine, the guide for comics in the early 90s, and Wizard World Conventions that followed up, was interviewed on TikTok by reporter or goer Alaric Heck, where he is credited as the founder of Comic-Con. What? How are you the founder of... No. But that's not all. Gareb says this, and I quote, "So the way cosplay started was actually as a fluke because of the magazine. So I published Wizard Magazine for many years. I started it back in the early 90s when there wasn't even an internet. Our Halloween issue comes out and we wouldn't be able to show the costumes that people wore during Halloween until our December issue because people would have physically take pictures, print them out, send them to us, and we publish it in the magazine. So when did our first Comic-Con in the mid-90s, we went to our fans and said, look, we have a Halloween issue coming up. Can you do us a favor and dress up early for Halloween and come show us dressed in your costumes?" And little did we know, when the show opened up, we had hundreds of people dressed up in costumes. It was unbelievable. Everybody was wearing the coolest costumes of their favorite superheroes, whether it was Batman or Wolverine or Spider-Man. It was really incredible how our attendance turned out for us. Our audience turned out for us. And what happened was, all of a sudden, every other fan swarmed around them to take pictures with them and them. And it was just one of those extraordinary experiences. So now we were able to take those pictures, put it in the magazines. So when the pictures of all these costumes came out in the magazine, everybody around the world saw it, and it just set the world on fire. All of a sudden, everyone's like, holy crap, what's going on here? And that kind of set off a chain reaction where every Comic-Con and the ones after us, everyone started dressing up at the Comic-Cons.
Yeah, I don't think that's the first time.
The caucasity of this bitch.
Everybody always wants to claim that they invented something, but as we've seen in history and many times repeated before, there are many developments of it in different forms and functions and fashions, and no one person can really, other than maybe the one or two that are at the very, very beginning of it, claim it as their own. It feels weird, bro. It feels so weird.
And I see the mirror, he says, and he just triggered a core memory for me. I didn't realize he grew up in Rockland and the Wizard World that Wizard Entertainment is based on is from Nanuet, the one where I used to get my fan subs from. Yes, I remember picking up Wizard World, checking out Inquest, And then they had like their little anime magazine. And I thought it was cool that it was in Rockland County, the publishing and all. It was like, because when you live outside of New York City, like in Jersey or Westchester or Rockland, you kind of live in the shades of the city. So when something cool comes out in your neck of the woods, you kind of have to, it's something you take pride in. On a side note, it's something that I said to three of my favorite wrestlers, Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon Dudley, and Tommy Dreamer. They're from Westchester County. Seeing them perform put a little pride in me because I feel like I'm being represented. So, anywho, back to the story at hand here. Now, that's a bold claim. Now, cosplay grew out of the practice of fan costuming at science fiction conventions. On a side note, I have seen cosplay photos going back as early as the 70s, and people were very creative. I've seen people cosplaying JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable from the 90s, taking it directly from the manga. Which is stuff cosplayers did in the late 2000s, but there were issues with that because some characters would be out, and people would guess at the colors of the outfits and be like, oops, got that one wrong. Anywho. So, the practice of fan costuming at science fiction conventions, including the Vrilla Bazaar and Fete in 1891 at the Royal Albert Hall in London, and Morojo's futuristic costumes for the first World Science Fiction Convention held in New York City in 1939. The Japanese word for cosplay was coined by Nobuyuki Takahashi in 1984. Nobuyuki Takahashi is the person behind Studio Hard. He attended 84 Worldcon in Los Angeles and saw all of this, which he later wrote about in an article for the Japanese magazine My Anime. Rather than the existing word masquerade, which had aristocratic leanings, my first cosplay, that's where he went with that, And I think that's really freaking cool. That's why when you go to certain conventions, they would call it the masquerade or the cosplay. It was always the West Coast called it the masquerade, if I remember correctly, and the East Coast called it the cosplay. Eventually it became the cosplay masquerade. Now it's just everyone basically uses the masquerade because we're royalty too. To a certain extent.
Well, I think it's more the formality.
Yes.
I think it's more the formality, the fact that money is exchanged and that to look more professional. As much as we like to imagine the idea of costume play, cosplay seems like a very professional term. It's never been a very professional term. There's so many options to the word cosplay. Like you can be a model, you can be a performer, you can be a creative, and it doesn't really have a specific meaning to it. It has so many meanings. And so in order to do things like, performance events and things like that, a lot of the time, a lot of places have just tuned into the idea of masquerade.
Yes. And let's see here. Bonzo06 and Cedar Berry says a couple things in our Twitch chat here, Twitch TV/Anime Jam Session, which I'm going to repeat. And I'm saying it like that because this reminds me of a story that I have told on this show here and there. Bonzo06 says, LOL, I want to hear this person unhinged claim they invented cosplay. Cedar Berry says, yeah, anyone claiming the invention of a specific thing at this point is going to be a little diluted at this point. Story time. Gather around. Uncle Ranma has a story to tell you. So I was at BurrowCon. It was a convention that lasted for like 2 years. It was supposed to be a minority empowered convention, which had good intentions. It was good, but things didn't work out as planned because really in New York City, so that it's kind of hard to run a convention because of how things are. Unless you got money and you're going to do it at the Javits Center. So I was there and I ran into someone, I would say an acquaintance. I've known him for years. And he introduces me to a friend of his. And he goes, oh, this is DJ Ron Mess. He's a cosplayer from New York City. Very good friend of mine. He is an amazing and talented cosplayer. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the compliments. And then he goes, and he is the reason why cosplayers cosplay in New York City. What? Now, I've gotten a lot of compliments, and I'm extremely humbled by them. But to say that I am the reason that people cosplay in New York City, clearly you don't realize I have very little reach in that. I am a nobody in the cosplay community. Well, depending on where I am a somebody. But I have never had that level of influence or stroke where I can go to a convention in cosplay and next thing you know, the next day, 200 people show up in costumes. I could never. Jesus. And I'm looking at him and I'm just like standing there turning beet red like, are you fucking kidding me? And as my acquaintance walked away, I said, look, I don't know what he's told you, but I'm no cosplay influencer. I've never been. I have had people come up to me and say they're the reason why they listen to the podcast. I've had a couple people say, they do cosplays because of me, which is cool. I appreciate that. I'm very humbled by that. But I have never had like a standing ovation by a bunch of people in a convention center as to I am the reason why they do this. Absolutely not.
No.
And even if I was, I still wouldn't want that responsibility on my shoulders.
Nope, it's way too much. It's way too much. I honestly, as being small influencers, like, and to be fair, that's what we are. We are small influencers. We're content creators on the web, right? I'm an anime girl on the web now, but previous iterations of myself have shown up in different ways, and yeah, I mean, honestly, it does feel weird to say there is a certain amount of influence you have, even as a small creator. It does feel nice. Like, don't get me wrong. I never at all take it for granted at all. But it is one of those cases where a lot of people will they'll exponentially think that you have all this power or this sensibility just because you guest at a convention, just because you perform on a stage, just because you win an award or two. But at the end of the day, that's like a lot of those people don't even want to get famous. They just want to perform. They just want to show up. They just want to show off their talent and skill. But at the end of the day, they get to go back to anonymity. They get to take off their little mask, their cosplay at the end of the day. And fame is a very fickle creature.
Yes.
It is a very fickle creature. I never want to be famous, to be completely honest with you. I'm happy growing organically, being a tiny little bean, my little corner of the cozy internet. Because once you get fame, there's something that comes with it, and it messes with your brain.
Yep.
There's something about it that just throws you off completely and changes you as a human being. Yep. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens with it, but
I've seen it. Like I remember one time I had gone to PAX East and I got interviewed, and they're like, I think I was cosplaying Luigi or somebody, and they were like, "Oh, you must do this for a living." I'm like, "No, I'm an I'm an IT guy." Surprise!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there was a video that was circulating on one of the 21 plus groups about a guy went around interviewing various cosplayers. All except for one person said they did different things. A majority of them are in IT. Props to my people. One of them said they were a professional cosplayer. At that point, I couldn't take it seriously anymore. That's a story for another time. Yeah. I'm just saying, and the popularity. I just want enough popularity for the show where whatever money we make off the show pays the studio bills. And that's for the hosting, the equipment that we use. That's it. That's all I really care about. Other than that, that's fine. We get 10 to 15 people in here every week, and I'm happy with that. We get 50 to 100 people who download and listen to the podcast every week. I'm happy with that. Maybe once or twice a year, I'll run into somebody who remembers me from a prior convention or said, "Oh, I listened to your show." I appreciate that. It's little stuff like that keeps us humble. Yeah. So if Garrett Sheamus really claims that they invented cosplay, just so you know, there's a bridge about a good half hour from here that I have the deed to that I'm looking to get rid of. So if you got a couple $1 million, we should talk. Anywho, Moving right along, we're going to talk about Hololive, something that's more in Barry's wheelbarrow.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit today about some Hololive production things. Obviously, being a VTuber, this is in my realm. This is my battle house. I don't know why I want to say battle. That's not right. It's in my wheelhouse. That's where I was going with that.
Given that you have demonic powers, it is your battle house.
It is my battle house. So yeah, we sincerely apologize. Hololive Production CEO responds to Talent's exit of the world's biggest VTuber agency. Murasaki Shion of Hololive Production announced her graduation as an anime girl VTuber on March 6, 2025. She's the latest high-profile talent to leave the popular and highly regarded streaming agency in the last 6 months. Hololive Production, the leading agency for virtual YouTubers, has had to say a goodbye to 5 of its most popular streamers in half a year. The first high-profile graduation began in August in 2024 with Minato Aqua. Amelia Watson soon followed in October 2024. I do want to update that she is still, I believe, associated with the brand. However, she has changed in what formats she shows up and doesn't do a lot of streaming in collaboration with them as much anymore. Celes Fauna and Sakamata Chloe followed on January 4th and January 26th of this year, respectively. Murasaki Shion will graduate on April 6, 2025, and graduation, for anyone who isn't familiar with the terms in VTubing, is a term used in the Japanese entertainment industry to announce the retirement of a talent who operated in a typically younger skewing business, such as a VTuber or idols, which is my background. The term is most appropriate for Hololive because it has leaned more to the idol side of the company in recent years, focusing more on music releases and virtual performances, seemingly to the detriment to some of its talent. Motoaki Tanigo, better known as Yago or Yagu, to the VTuber community, addressed the alarming rate of talent leaving the agency. Some had been with the company since the company's early beginnings in the Japanese and English branches. The quote is as follows. "Thank you for always supporting Hololive Production," Yago wrote on X, formerly Twitter. "We sincerely apologize for everyone's concerns about the continuous announcements about graduations. We feel the same loneliness as everyone else every time we see a talent off. We have established a system where talents can concentrate on their activities with peace of mind by providing support from various angles, such as Hololive Expo, 3D Live, corporate tie-ups, and music production support so that each talent can maximize their talents. However, there are still some areas that need improvement, and I am creating opportunities to talk directly with the talents and work to improve. We will do our best to ensure that both the talents and the fans can smile. Thank you for your continued support." Some recent Hololive graduates have cited disagreements with management as a reason for their departure, among other reasons personally related to the talent. In the case of Chloe, medical issues related to her throat also played a crucial factor in her decision to graduate. Some talents, like Chloe and Amelia, are currently listed as affiliates. Recently introduced status allowing graduates to participate in future Hololive activities if they so choose. However, despite their decision to leave, all recently graduated talents continue to speak positively of their experience at Hololive and with Yago himself.
Instead of affiliates, they should call them alumni.
Much to be said.
Instead of
the what?
Instead of affiliates, they should call them alumni.
That would be a cute name. Yeah. I feel like alumni gives a definitive closure, though.
I guess, but saying since you're graduated, and it's like you're alumni,
but they're still working with the business. So it is a complicated, situation. Despite the disappointing news, Hololive continues to celebrate its existing talents and their fandom worldwide. Hololive 6 Fest, Color Rise Harmony, was a 2-day special event where talents from the Japanese, North America, and Indonesian branches performed live as their virtual avatars for in-person and online attendees from March 8th to 9th of this year. In addition to Hololive fans supporting their favorite talents like Hoshimaki, oh my gosh, why can't I say it right? Hoshimachi Suisei, Narissa Ravencroft, and Pavolia Rain. New and exciting projects were announced at the event. The first ever Hololive smartphone rhythm game, currently going by the name Project Dreams, was revealed to be in development and will be released simultaneously worldwide in the future. Yeah, they always have something going on. I know recently they also enabled fan games to become legitimized through their own branding. And yeah, it's just one of those things.
I just find it interesting that the company that I work for actually represents a VTuber. I found this out purely by accident because somebody
by surprise.
Yeah, because I think somebody on my Facebook mentioned it, like posted a pic or said something, and I looked it up, and I was like, and there's a picture of the VTuber with our company logo. I was like, oh, okay. So, there is that. All right, now we'll switch gears here and talk about Amazon Prime Video. They're doing something that we're not too fond of. We're hoping that there is a legitimate reason for this, which in some cases there really isn't. So basically, we're going to talk about the fact that Amazon Prime, their Prime Video, they're going to do an AI dubbing pilot program. So just in case you don't know, Amazon Prime Video is one of the world's biggest streaming services with an increasingly bigger anime footprint, which I think is kind of bullshit. I mean, US-wise, I would say Crunchyroll has the bigger anime footprint. Even outside of the US, it's like, I feel that they do. I would say Netflix might come in second because they do their own, plus they license stuff as well. So anywho, Amazon recently announced that its Prime Video subscription services began an AI dubbing pilot program on licensed movies and TV series. Its stated aims to help you enjoy titles that previously did not have dubbing available in select countries and territories and would not have been dubbed otherwise. The pilot will begin in English and Latin American Spanish dubs with 12 titles, including El Cid, La Leyenda, Mi Mama Laura, and Long Lost. At Prime Video, we believe in improving customers' experience with practical and useful AI innovation, said Ralph Sultanovich, VP of Technology at Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios. AI-aided dubbing is only available on titles that do not have dubbing support, and we are eager to explore a new way to make series and movies more accessible and enjoyable. Amazon says the dubbing project will see localization professionals collaborate with AI to ensure quality control. AI-aided processes like this one, which incorporate the right amount of human expertise, can enable localization for titles that will not otherwise be accessible to customers. Assuming the pilot program's success, it's unclear whether this will be rolled out to anime, of which many titles will never receive an English dub. Amazon Prime Video is one of the world's biggest streaming services for anime, placing fourth in Parrot Analytics' 2023 estimated global anime streaming revenue list. Oh, okay. It puts them above Disney Plus and Max. There's not much anime on Max anyway. The streaming service is also huge in the US specifically. Back in 2023, Polygon surveyed where Gen Z and millennials consume their anime, and the demographic forms in the majority of US anime watchers. It was revealed that Amazon was the third most selected option, narrowly behind Hulu and ahead of Crunchyroll, Max, Funimation, Tubi, VRV, and HiDive. Its anime catalog includes many of the most popular titles like My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, the rebuild of Eva tetralogy. There's 4. It's most recently announced an exclusive acquisition of the global streaming rights to Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quinx X TV series. In the past, Crunchyroll has floated using AI to generate subtitles. How do we improve and optimize our processes where we can get the subtitles done in various languages across the world faster so that we can launch as close to the Japanese release as possible? CEO Rahul Purini said. So that's definitely an area we're focused on. The introduction of AI subtitles or dubbing, potentially in the Amazon case, will likely be met with fierce opposition, at least initially. While the situation has drastically improved, English dubs have long dealt with stigma from the days of voice acting quality concerns and extremely loose or highly adapted scripts. Major streaming services continue to be criticized for inaccurate subtitles. Re:Zero fans have been particularly vocal about this season, while another anime had an episode pulled temporarily for poor quality back in 2023. Critics argue that instead of AI initiatives, subtitling would benefit from more manpower and better synchronization with Japanese schedules. Meanwhile, promoting more remote working options, investing in the development and lead times of ADR directors and scriptwriters and their work, and widening the talent pool will be better to help the fan experience for dubs. Proponents of anime's drastic recent boom as a reason for the necessity of AI. Given anime's decade-long struggle with the tight profit margins, lowering the cost while widening the accessibility may be the priority despite quality concerns. Okay, here's my thing. I personally do not have a problem with AI for subtitling, provided there is somebody there who is looking at the subtitles and making sure that they are accurate. That's it. AI dubbing, I'm not. No, I can't. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it doesn't even work with just general Google Cloud, not sensors, but
Mm-hmm.
captions. Captions. That's the
Mm-hmm.
word I was looking for. 90% of the time, you have to go back and look at stuff and try and fix everything. So it's like you legitimately have to consider all those things when you're working with AI, honestly, and
Yeah.
it's going to get it wrong 90% of the time. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know nuance, it doesn't understand language. Like it understands language, but only in a concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
And without context and not understanding that context, you lose a lot of that
Yep.
authenticity and interpretation, especially because Japanese to English, it requires so much depth of translation.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many meanings to words, especially in the English language, let alone the Japanese language, that when you're not prepared to understand the nuances of it, especially the formalities and the consistency of hierarchy and the idea of interpersonal relationships with it, like AIs are not going to know that. Like you could
That is
program it
true.
into it, yeah, sure, but at the same time, it's going to feel so impersonal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anime really needs that personal touch.
It's like when two of the main characters and the dubbing team, like the two characters being dubbed. What if the couple that's doing the dub voices of the couple in the end, maybe they're dating in real life, or maybe they've worked together so much they know how to bounce off of each other.
Exactly.
Like I said,
Exactly.
AI for subtitling, I'm okay with, provided there is somebody that's going over the subtitles, which in a way would help the thin margin in anime as opposed to having four people translate it, which that I don't have an issue with. But in the 90s, just so in case you didn't know, there were multiple dub teams translating Sailor Moon, thus all of the
Yep.
inconsistencies in the episodes.
Yeah. And not only that, but I even feel like the robot voices that are trained as human voices, even Vocaloid, there's that uncanny valley. There's that something that doesn't make it quite right. There's that idea that there's something there that isn't quite human. And people notice that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how much you try to tone it down, no matter how much you try to incorporate human voice to it, we still know that it's vocalized by not a human being.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good place to cut it.
Yep, definitely. And I just realized I didn't update the rundown, so I just did it. Okay, now that we got that out the way, a piracy website is going down. It's gone down, and the person running it was arrested. Barry, what's up with that?
Yeah, so this is why pirate's life may be for you, but yeah, maybe don't share your crimes on the internet.
Sure
Coda
about
is
that.
working with China to arrest Chinese piracy website owner. Japan's Content Overseas Distribution Association, or CODA, announced on Friday that the Shizhuang
Mm-hmm.
Public Security Bureau arrested a man from the Liaoning province in China on suspicion of running the ZZZ Fun piracy website. The website violates copyright law by illegally distributing anime and other content to users in China through its website and app. Following an investigation of the suspect's home on October 15th, he had allegedly run the site since 2022, having uploaded approximately 1,800 anime episodes and earning about 330,000 RMB or 45,000 US dollars. The Coda Beijing office had filed a criminal complaint with the Public Security Bureau last May on behalf of Aniplex, Kodakawa, King Records, Kodansha, Shogakukan, Square Enix, TV Tokyo, Toei Animation, Toho, Nikatsu, HappyNet, Phantom Studios, Fuji Television Network, and Pony Canyon. The companies cooperated with the investigation. Other recent piracy cases included Coda, an organization that aims to reduce worldwide piracy and actively promote the international distribution of Japanese content, revealed on August 26th that through a criminal complaint filed by a Coda member company, several Japanese anime piracy websites in Brazil were exposed in April and subsequently shut down. These sites had subtitled anime in Portuguese and had region-locked Japanese IP addresses from accessing the websites, ostensibly keeping the Japanese rights holders from discovering the sites. The news website Torrent Freak reported on August 27th that several non-anime piracy websites such as F-Movies and anime piracy sites such as Anime Suge and Anywave, formerly 9anime, had shut down. Anywave had posted on Reddit in late August that it had shut down its website. Reddit users similarly noted in late August that the Anime Suge site had been shut down. Torrent Freak noted in the original Anywave and roughly 170 million visits to a month before it was shut down. So that's a pretty high visit rate. A few days after Torrent Freak's reporting, the American-based Motion Picture Association's Alliance for Creativity and Entertainment, ACE, anti-piracy group, stated it worked with the Hanoi police in Vietnam to shut down F-Movies and numerous other notorious piracy sites.
Yep.
ACE stated that the Hanoi-based operation that ran F-Movies had associated pirate sites that included Anywave, and ACE claimed that F-Movies, Anywave, and other associated piracy sites were involved in the operation that nearly 374 million combined monthly visits and more than 6.7 billion visits between January 2023 and June 2024. The California-based company PCR Distributing filing a lawsuit on August 30th for copyright infringement against the adult site Hentai. PCR Distributing state that it operates under the DBA JAST USA and claimed in the lawsuit that Hentai distributes thousands of pirated works, including 5 registered works owned by PCR Distributing in the lawsuit, and that Hentai does not rely on user-generated or user-uploaded content. The lawsuit claimed that Hentai averaged over 79.38 million monthly visitors in July 2024, with visitors from the United States and Japan making up the largest market. You horny degenerates. Anyway.
Well, you know. Anywho.
Anyway.
I had to slip that in there one way or another.
No, it's funny. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into our story after that about prescription record books and how they're being scalped because they're being given away for free.
Ooh.
Which I don't think is a smart idea.
No, doesn't seem very smart. Not very bright.
No, it's not.
A few bulbs short of a lamp.
All right, so here's the thing. In Japan, patients can keep track of their many medical prescriptions with a handy pocket-sized booklet that pharmacies hand out for free. To promote the practice, pharmacies began offering the Apothecary Diaries branded prescription record booklets at the beginning of the month. You want one, don't you?
No, I don't want one, but I have a bunch of friends who absolutely love the series, and I've been meaning to watch it.
I've heard good things. I may sit down and watch it. I don't know. But we'll see. Unfortunately, scalpers have been taking advantage of this, and anime staff and pharmacies want to put a stop to it. In a March 5 statement, the Apothecary Diary staff noticed that several of these booklets have appeared on reseller sites. The FNN News Service added that scalpers are offering these free booklets for as much as 6,000 yen, which translates to $41. The anime staff is asking fans to not purchase or resell the booklets, as collaboration is simply meant to promote the importance of regular folks maintaining their own medical records. As it says on their Twitter account, I ain't calling it X, fuck that. Thank you for your continued support of the Apothecary Diaries. Regarding the collaborative prescription record booklets with the Japan Pharmaceutical Association launched in March of 2025, we have unfortunately confirmed many cases of them being resold on reseller sites. The purpose of this initiative is to promote the importance of prescription record booklets, and we are distributing them to people who use pharmacies. Please refrain from reselling the prescription record booklets. Also, please refrain from purchasing the prescription record booklets that are being resold. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Thank you for your support. The Apothecary Diaries announced the initiative with the Japan Pharmaceutical Association, the JPA, on February 21st. The official website for the Apothecary Diaries notes that the pharmacies that are members of the JPA began handing out record booklets on March 1st. The site further states that the record booklets are not for sale and fans should not inquire about them at pharmacies or hospitals. According to the Saitama Pharmaceutical Association, prescription record booklets were developed to help patients, doctors, and pharmacies track medications taken, medical institutions visited, the names and dosages of medications bought or used, and the results of treatment. Booklets are widely used in Japan as a personal healthcare record. Now, I get it. I understand it. But don't be greedy. I mean, yes, you can get it for free, but if you pay money, you get it a lot quicker. I get that. But we shouldn't. How about no? All right. We are now down to our last story of the night before we get into Meanwhile in Japan. And I kind of wish Mako was here because this is basically her fandom. And we're talking about Mamoru Oshii. He still wants to make a third Ghost in the Shell movie. Well, my dude, I sure as hell ain't stopping you because I think you should. All right, Barry.
Yeah. You want me to take this story?
Yeah, didn't you? Unless you. Didn't I just read the last one?
No.
That's
Totally. No.
For a split second, I was like, wait. I was like, wait, what?
It's been a popular franchise. No, it's definitely it's one of the ones that I think has done well. With as much controversy as it's hit, it's still done well, and the production quality has actually still been pretty good. So Mamoru Oshii still wants to make his third Ghost in the Shell film. Ghost in the Shell, anime film director and human reincarnation of a basset hound, Mamoru Oshii, confirmed that he is still interested in making the third Ghost in the Shell film during Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence 20th anniversary talk event on March 1st. The director noted that he had almost made a third film, but the project did not come to fruition. Oshii further elaborated that if he were allowed to tie up one loose end, he would like to make the film still. Japanese film news outlet Cinema Today released a portion of the talk event on its YouTube channel. The talk event took place at the Toho Cinemas Shinjuku in Tokyo. Oshii appeared on stage with Akio Otsuka, the voice of the Ghost in Shell's Batu. According to Comic Natalie, the two spoke a bit on the screening, played a true or false quiz, and spoke about their memory of Atsuko Tanaka, the late voice actress of Ghost in the Shell's Matoko Kusanagi. The first Ghost in the Shell film opened in Japan in 1995. While the film did not perform well theatrically in Japan, it gained worldwide following upon its home video release, especially overseas. Oshii returned to the Ghost in the Shell anime franchise in 2004 for the sequel film, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. Honestly, I enjoy the franchise. I hope to see more from it. I think it definitely was too short-lived. I just hope that they don't overdo it because they have been known to overdo it a lot with different series. I mean, if it ends where it did, obviously not gonna cry too much about it because it ended on a good note. But I definitely can appreciate if there's more content.
It's one thing where they do a series and then like maybe within a couple of months, oh, here's this new season. They keep doing that. Whereas with Ghost in the Shell, like here's a series. A couple of years go by, like, oh, hey, we have something else new for you. A few more years go by. Hey, that type of pacing I'm perfectly okay with.
It's not the crush and rush of just trying to shoot out some sort of slop, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of unfortunate situations have happened where quality degrades because the creatives just didn't take the time and care. I think it was Seven Deadly Sins with Netflix and how that happened, like with the quality of the animation. There's a lot of ways that taking your time and applying yourself and your team to your work really does reflect itself. And I think Ghost in the Shell is one of those properties you just cannot cut corners.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And now that we got that out the way, we're going to get into the part of the show that y'all really like and stick around for. Meanwhile, in Japan. Normally, we'd have everybody each read a story here out of these 4 stories that we have, but we're only going to take 2 and then fly up on out of here. So, Barry, you get the first pick.
I want to take the snack one.
Yeah, I can see why.
It looks interesting. Which one did you want?
It's a toss-up.
Did you want the snack one?
It's a toss-up between the first and the second one.
Yeah, they both look good today.
I know. Um, I'll take the first one.
Alrighty.
So, in our stories of Meanwhile in Japan, our first story is about a Hokkaido man who was arrested after asking a convenience store to lend him money. What? I'm just like, what? It has been said many times before that Japanese convenience stores are amazing both in the quality of food they sell and the wide range of services they offer. During a simple trip to the corner store here, you can pay your bills, send a package, buy concert tickets, make high quality copies, print out photos and government documents, do some banking, and even get some reading in. Ooh, okay, I didn't know about that. That's kind of cool. I'm going to assume there's like little seats outside for that. Yep. Some of the chains even offer money lending services. But taking advantage of those requires registering your ID and bank info with the official app in advance. You're not supposed to just waltz in and ask the clerk to hit you up with some cash, as illustrated by an incident involving a 33-year-old man in Asahikawa, Hokkaido. On March 4th, the man entered a Psycho Mart in Asashikawa about 10:30 in the morning and asked the part-time clerk if he could borrow some money. The clerk then notified the manager, who in turn called the police. Officers quickly arrived at the scene and arrested the man on suspicion of a crime known in Japan as Kenzobutsu Shinyu, which translates to building intrusion, and it's similar to crimes like criminal trespassing or unlawful entry in other countries. No injuries or damage were caused by the man, but entering a store without a legitimate purpose and refusing to leave if asked can lead to a Kenzobutsu Shinyu charge. The man did not know the store employees, he had no money or weapons on him, and was not intoxicated when arrested. He admitted that he had entered a store with the sole purpose of asking for money. The police are currently investigating his motive in more detail. I'm not a master detective, but I'm gonna guess his motive was that he needed money and he was broke. Meanwhile, people who read this article already have various opinions to say about this. There's a labor shortage going on, and we got guys doing this. Was he just too persistent? Why wouldn't they just lend him money? I remember a police box in Osaka with a big sign saying they don't lend train fare. Is this a good reason to arrest someone? Why don't they do this to all those harassing customers too? The details on how the man asked for money weren't released, but it would seem that if the man was still in the store for the time it took to call and wait the police, he was not taking no for an answer and likely acting belligerent to some degree. If convicted of Kenzobutsu Shinyu, the man will face up to 3 years in prison or a fine. If anything, hopefully he won't get the latter because that guy clearly has enough money troubles as it is. Yeah.
Well, considering that Japan has its own problem with homelessness and stuff like that, and not really talking about financial backing and things of that nature, unfortunately, I don't think that it's gonna be solved.
Right.
I think it's going to continue to be a problem for them.
And someone's going to reinvent the wheel on it.
Out of off cuff to have arrested someone for asking for train fare, but obviously if he got belligerent or he got overzealous about it, I know that they tend to be a lot more judgmental in that respect because of how they are about holistic shame over there. And if you get out of hand, then of course, like, you're shaming your family, your cow, blah, 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 whatever. But like, it's definitely not something I think that they should have been arrested for.
Disturbing the peace, I can see that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now we're going to get into our final story from Meanwhile in Japan. All right, go for it there, Barry.
I went for the most gluten-free one on the list. Japanese puffed corn snack to be sold for 110,000 yen as a work of art, which for any of us little plebs out here, JP yen $2
That's
is
a whole
right
lot of
now
money.
68. It's like 0.0068 cents on the US dollar. So
No,
if you
no,
want
no,
to
no, no.
translate that,
That can't be right.
that's what it's saying. Let me see.
110
JPY to
100
USD.
110,000.
So it'd be 743
Yes,
US
110.
dollars.
Yeah, it's like what the.
That's wild. That's wild. It's about yeah. Anyway, nearly identical umaibo snack costs 15 yen a piece. One of the nice things about living in Japan is that there are a handful of snack foods that seem to do everything in their power to keep their prices low. Gari Gari Kun ice candies and Black Thunder chocolates are two famous examples, but arguably the most cost-effective snack to date remains umaibo. Umaibo are sticks made of puffed corn material used in snacks known as cheesies or cheese puffs in other parts of the world. They're available in a wide range of surprisingly accurate flavors like cheese, corn pottage, cow's tongue, octopus balls, and many more. But their biggest claim to fame is that since their release in 1979, their price has only risen from 10 yen to 15 yen, or roughly 10 US cents. But very soon, a limited run of Umaibo is coming that will blow the previous price increase out of the water. Only 15 Umaibo modern art flavor, Umaibo Gendai Bijutsu Aji sticks are going to be sold with a staggering price tag of 110 yen or $746 each, including tax. As the name suggests, these Umaibo snacks are works of art rather than your run-of-the-mill commodity. Their concept and packaging were created by Japanese-born, American-based artist Tomokazu Matsuyama, who sometimes incorporates pop art themes into his styles, which fuses classical with modern and Eastern with Western. The question that's probably on everyone's mind at this point is probably, what modern art flavor tastes like? To put it simply, the umaibo inside the package is exactly the same as the ones normally sold for 15 yen, because the entire piece is based on the question of whether the art alone can be used to enhance the value of an already widely loved product. Unfortunately, that still doesn't answer what the thing tastes like. As mentioned, umaibo come in a vast array of flavors, so what would the standard flavor used in these artworks be?
Vanilla.
I just assumed it was cheese, but that's because I always associated those things with cheese. On the other hand, corned pottage is certainly a stalwart flavor, alongside octopus balls, vegetable salad, spicy cod roe, and sugar. The first released flavor were tonkotsu sauce and salami, but new flavors were added so quickly afterward that it hardly seems relevant to make either one the main flavor. As we can see, this is a clearly high concept art that causes us to ponder many of life's questions. Another such question would be, the buyer should eat the umaibo inside. Considering this is conceptual art, the umaibo itself is of so little value. In fact, eating it may only add to the concept, and the flavor dust-encrusted wrapper left behind could continue to have artistic and presumably monetary value on all its own.
Yep.
The only way to find out is to buy an umaibo, modern art flavor, and see. However, if you're one of the many people who don't have 100,000 yen kicking around for a puffed corn snack, you can still appreciate it while it's being exhibited at the Azabudai Hills Gallery in Tokyo from the 8th of March. It will be part of the Tomokazu's last exhibition, along with some of his other colorful and vibrant works.
Well, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun. I love pop art that has interactivity to it.
Okay. And now that we got, didn't I just? I thought I updated and refreshed this outline. What the heck is going on here? Did it go through? Come on. There we go. I'm sorry about the delay and all of that.
No worries.
I have to kick the code. All right. Now that we got that all said and done, and we ran a little over time, which is perfectly okay because there's always stuff that
happens.
Yes,
happens all the time with us. Professional
so
yappers.
Yeah. So this is the part where we're going to say, oh, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
But not just like that. All right. So if you like the show tonight, tell a friend. Then in turn, tell another friend, and so on and so forth. We're independent bloggers, independent podcasters. So what we like and don't like, we're telling you up front. So, I actually forgot my little shtick. Hold on, let me pull this up. There we go.
No, it's okay. You're fine, hon.
I've been doing it.
Reach out. You reach out to us at our email at
podcast@animejamsession.com. We're here to believe you. I've been doing this for like 10 years. And
You've been doing this for over 10 years, Ranma. I can't.
I know. You would think I'd have this all memorized by now.
No, I knew you got locked down. It's like muscle memory. This is that's okay. Let's go. We got this. Podcast sites. Let's fucking go.
Let's go. All right. So if you like the podcast, check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, and anywhere else where you get your regularly scheduled podcasts. And what's great is some of these apps have a section where you can leave a review. So leave a review. We'd like to know what you think of the show. If you can't drop an email, leave a comment. We'd love it. And don't forget to check out our website at animejamsession.com, where you will find our weekly podcasts, anime reviews, convention reports, cosplay tips and tricks, cosplay reviews, editorials, links to our Facebook and YouTube page of cosplay and convention coverage. All that and more at animejamsession.com.
Woo!
And follow us on our social media. It's Anime Jam Session on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Follow us on those so you know when we're going live, when we have brand new episodes up, shares, and all the other cool stuff. And to everybody who follows us on our socials, thank you so much. We couldn't do this without you. And down below is our tip jar. So you can click on our direct links to our Streamlabs, Ko-Fi, and Stream Elements. And if you want to throw some cash that way, we'd appreciate that. Also, you can cheer us on with bits in the chat room, and that's great. And you can also sub to the channel and give out gift subs. We had a mini marathon of gifted subs at the top of the show, and that was awesome. Thank you so much. Well, if it wasn't this week, it was last week. I know it did happen.
I think it was last week, but that's okay. We can still thank our subbies.
Yes, definitely it was last week. And that reminds me, I need to do something real quick here. If it'll go through. And yeah, there we go. Done. Now that we got that out the way. So now we're going to go around the room. Last words, Barry.
Well, as always, it is always a blessing to be on the channel. See you guys always doing well and having a lot of fun talking about Japanese anime culture and all the other stuff. I will continue to be your mistress of dreams and nightmares here on the channel as well as on my own channel. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you next time.
My last words is, I've had to crack the window open to get some cool air in here.
Is it too hot now, Ram?
Yeah, and it's March. What the hell?
Oh.
Anywho, that's it. End of list. We're getting out of here. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Hopefully Ari and Mako will be joining us. And you join us? We hope you do. So that's it. So I'm Ranma.
I'm Barry Mellon.
Great fight, great night. See you next week.
Yamatane.
Say goodnight, Barry.
Good night, Barry.
Oh, you sultry temptress, you.
always. Gotta keep them guessing. Gotta keep them on their toes.
That's it. We're out of here. See you all next week.
This podcast has been a production of Anime Jam Session and AJS Productions. No fanboys and fangirls were hurt, maimed, shot, electrocuted, or pistol whipped in this episode. For now. The views, opinions, and thoughts expressed on this show do not reflect the staff or the network as a whole. But we're still right, damn it. For transcripts of this episode, start typing. Check us out at animejamsession.com and vognetwork.com for more information about us and other programming. Jamatane!